Chapter 851. The confused Wu Yun. Although the Wu Yun in the sky was a little shocked, it did not take it to heart. If a dozen lightning bolts could not kill you, then just keep up the attack. It did not believe that it could not even kill an ugly bird. Boom, boom, boom. Another dozen lightning bolts flew toward Little Blackbird. Little Blackbird swallowed them all, then burped and said, "Weak? You're like the weakest members of the heavenly thunder world." The Wu Yun in the sky was furious. Strike it, strike this arrogant ugly bird to death. Just as Wu Yun was about to launch another wave of fierce attacks, he heard Little Blackbird say, "Stupid thunderclouds, I'm already full. See you later." The Wu Yun in the sky watched as Little Blackbird disappeared on the spot. What was all the effort it put in earlier for then? It was so depressed that it wanted to vomit blood. That bird's debt must be repaid. Target that little girl. Wait, something isn't right. It seems like maybe we came here to strike that little girl? Why was that stupid bird leading us astray? Boom, boom, boom. More than 10 bolts of lightning struck towards Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio sat cross-legged on the ground and did not dodge at all. She was eager to be struck by the lightning. The power of the lightning in her dantian was completely devoured by the black bead. Strange Grass and the Great Void Mirror were so angry that they wanted to evict the black bead. It was Yun Chujio who put an end to the conflict when she said that she would replenish it immediately. After more than 10 bolts of heavenly lightning were absorbed into Yun Chujio's dantian, the black bead was like a ravenous ghost that had not eaten for centuries. It completely devoured the absorbed lightning in seconds. Strange Grass and the Great Void Mirror were so angry that they were twitching. They wanted nothing more than to slap this glutton to death. Yun Chujio lazily raised her head and looked at the dark clouds in the sky. Little Blackbird is right. You are the weakest of the heavenly thunder world. You are too weak. You are not new here, are you? Tsk, you might as well stop calling it heavenly lightning and call it vegetable lightning. Wu Yun was furious. Damn it. This little girl was even more hateful than that ugly bird. Kill her. Dozens of heavenly lightning bolts struck towards Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was still lazy and did not move. She allowed the lightning bolts to strike her body. After the heavenly lightning bolts merged into her dantian, Strange Grass and the Great Void Mirror were afraid that they would be eaten up by the black bead, so the two of them quickly divided up the spoils. Yun Chujio looked inside her dantian and saw the black bead jumping anxiously. She thought to herself, "Damn it. I wish I could anger you to death. Who told you to suck my blood?" The Wu Yun in the sky was on the verge of collapse. Why did we encounter two weirdos on our first mission to the Azure Mystic Continent today? Forget about the bird. We only struck a few dozen lightning bolts at it, but this little girl. We threw nearly 100 lightning bolts. How is she not dead? Just as Wu Yun was in a daze, it heard the little girl sigh. Sigh. The heavenly lightning is getting weaker and weaker with each generation. Do you know that old bastard Tiandao is so weak? Wu Yun was completely enraged. It was fine if you scolded us, but you actually scolded Tiandao. That was unforgivable. Suddenly, thicker bolts of heavenly lightning struck continuously at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio nodded. Very good. That's the way to go. Keep it up. Wu Yun was so angry that it was seen to be twitching in the sky. I've been around for long enough. I don't believe that you're not completely immune to lightning. It'll strike you continuously for 2 hours. See if that doesn't kill you. 2 hours later, Yun Chujio was still sitting there leisurely. Occasionally, she would mock Wu Yun. Wu Yun was completely dumbfounded. Its mind was filled with doubt as it asked itself, who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Chapter 852. The Little Toad Who Looks at the Sky from a Well. After Wu Yun had calmed down for a while, it was revived and recovered its energy. If 2 hours isn't enough, it'll send bolts at you for 4 hours. If 4 isn't enough, it'll do it for 6 hours. I don't believe that I can't strike you to death. After 6 hours, Yun Chujio was still lying in the huge pit calmly. As she chewed on the roasted spirit potatoes, she said, Lele, you guys aren't completely useless. Your skills in roasting spirit potatoes are much better than those old Wu Yun from before. They often threw lightning bolts at my spirit potatoes until they were burnt. You guys roasted them just right. Wu Yun was so angry that it wanted to bang its head against the wall. Are you fucking praising us or insulting us? We're here to strike you to death, not to roast spirit potatoes for you. Boom, boom, boom. Wu Yun risked its life to continue to throw lightning bolts at Yun Chujio. The entire time, Yun Chujio felt extremely relaxed. This time, it was much easier to endure compared to previous lightning strikes. It seemed that the violent power of lightning had a much smaller impact on her now. I don't know if it was because I broke through to the 5th level of the spiritual emperor realm or because of the black bead. Yun Chujio's Dantian now had 3 malignant illegal immigrants. It was like a bottomless pit. These heavenly lightning bolts were usually a disaster to others, but to Yun Chujio, they were a great tonic. Every once in a while, Yun Chujio would provoke the dark clouds in the sky and incite it to throw more heavenly lightning bolts at her. Di Baiming, Shui Wuji, and the others were a little worried at first. They stood and watched, ready to intervene at any time. In the end, they simply sat down. Even if something happened, it was more likely to affect the dark clouds than that little devil. The heavenly lightnings struck her repeatedly from the afternoon until the morning of the next day. The pit where Yun Chujio was in had grown deeper and wider with each strike. Yun Chujio felt like a little toad sitting in a well and looking at the sky. She could only see a patch of the sky above amidst the dark clouds overhead. These new dark clouds clearly could not accept the fact that they could not kill Yun Chujio. They kept on throwing lightning bolts at her, which helped feed the black bead. The originally dim black bead now had a halo around it. It seemed to be able to do more than just absorb lightning now. Yun Chujio stood up and stretched her limbs. Little weakling, that's enough. If you are not tired, I will be tired on your behalf. Anyway, you can't kill me. Hurry up and stop already. The dark clouds in the sky had gone berserk. They only had one purpose in their hearts now, and that was to kill this little devil. They continued to hurl lightning bolts at her. Yun Chujio spread out her hands. If you're willing to, then do it. I don't care. Come on. Let the little weakling strike even more fiercely. Wu Yun was already beyond furious. They decided to use their ultimate move. Several bolts of heavenly lightning combined and formed a heavenly lightning bolt with a diameter of 5 feet. It struck down at Yun Chujio with immense heavenly might. Yun Chujio was shocked. She had screwed up this time. If that huge bolt struck her body, her dantian would definitely be broken. Although the strange grass could help her recover, it would still hurt. She had to take cover. However, she was stuck in a deep pit now. Where could she take cover under? In a moment of desperation, she kicked the soil beside her. Yun Chujio never expected that the soil to turn out to be so soft. Yun Chujio's kick made a hole large enough to fit her body. Yun Chujio quickly hid in it. Although the heavenly lightning could change directions, she would mitigate the damage while under cover, so she would suffer less damage. As expected, after the heavenly lightning struck, it found that Yun Chujio had hidden in a dirt cave nearby and changed the lightning bolt's direction toward it. After struggling to control the large lightning bolt, it lost around 30% of its destructive power. When it struck Yun Chujio, although she was in unbearable pain, at least her meridians had not exploded. The power of the lightning turned the surrounding soil into a mess. Then Yun Chujio found that she was falling uncontrollably. Chapter 853. The terrifying evil formation. When Wu Yun saw that Yun Chujio had disappeared from the deep pit, she thought that it must have been the ultimate move that killed the little devil. It formed a smiling face in the sky proudly and then skipped away. Di Baiming and Shui Wuji were dumbfounded. Looking at Wu Yun's jubilant mood, could it be that little Jiao had finally been struck to death? They quickly ran to the top of the deep pit, then rode their swords and flew into the deep pit. It was not long before they found the seemingly bottomless hole nearby. As the hole could only accommodate one person and could not ride their swords, the 4 of them could only activate their spiritual energy barrier before they jumped down one after another. When the 4 of them reached the bottom, they found that Yun Chujio was fighting with a group of silver-masked men and 3 gold-masked men. The 4 of them immediately joined the battle without a thought. Although there were quite a number of silver-masked men, they were no match for Di Baiming and Xue Wuji. In less than 15 minutes, they were incapacitated. The three gold-masked men looked at each other, then bit their index fingers and cast the secret skill Yun Chujio had seen before again. After 3 huge red spider lilies flashed before their eyes, the 3 of them disappeared. Almost at the same time, the silver-masked men all bled to death from their 7 orifices. It was the same situation that Yun Chujio had encountered at the bottom of the lake. Originally, Di Baiming and Xue Wuji had thought that Yun Chujio was exaggerating when they heard Yun Chujio's story. Now that they had seen it with their own eyes, the godly devil hall was indeed frightening. Little sister Jiao, why did you fall into this place? What is this place? Xue Wuji asked. I wanted to find a place to hide to avoid the heavenly lightning's ultimate attack. In the end, I kicked a hole in the ground in desperation. I didn't expect that I would fall into this place after being struck by the remaining power of the heavenly lightning. Before I could regain my senses, a group of people rushed me. Fuck, I had no time to think, so I defended myself. Just as the fighting started, you guys arrived. I didn't have the time to check out this place yet. Yun Chujio said as she looked around. This was obviously a tunnel. The front was brightly lit, so it should be the right place. And Feng and Secret Agent Hua Hua searched the silver-masked men's bodies. Then Yun Chujio, Di Baiming, and Xue Wuji walked forward. When the 3 of them saw the scene in front of them, they were stunned and even felt nauseous. This was a very large room. In the middle was a big array, and in the middle was a huge red spider lily. Around it were 108 array leaves, and on each of them were complicated ancient runes. Around the array was a pool of blood. Tens of thousands of demonic beasts were chained to the ground. They were not dead, but the blood in their bodies was constantly being drained into the blood pool around the array disc. This array disc was not activated by spirit stones, but by the blood and life force of the demonic beasts. It was truly terrifying. Damn. Although our demon blood sect is named as such, our demon blood pool is not filled with blood. This godly devil hall is too abnormal. Xue Wuji clicked his tongue repeatedly. No wonder there were not many demon beasts in the mountain filled with so many spiritual plants. It turned out that they were all already captured and brought here. Prince Charming, what is the use of this array? How can we stop it? If we don't, I think some of the demonic beasts will die. Although we usually kill them, this is too cruel. Besides, look at them. They are all so weak from having their blood drained. Yun Chujio saw the pleading looks in the demonic beast's eyes. She couldn't bear it. Chapter 854. Breaking the formation. Di Baiming examined it carefully and said after a moment of contemplation, this formation should be some kind of ancient evil formation. It's most likely used to find the eye of the earth. Just destroy the formation leaves to disrupt it. If that's the case, then what are we waiting for? In doing it, such a sinister formation shouldn't exist. The people of the godly devil hall are nothing. Well, kill them all sooner or later. As Xue Wuji spoke, he attacked one of the array leaves with his spiritual power. Unexpectedly, a blood-red pattern of the red spider lily appeared on the surface of the array leaf and dissolved Xue Wuji's spirit skull bomb. The 3 of them were very surprised. Xue Wuji's spirit skull bomb was almost equivalent to the power of a 9th level of the spiritual emperor realm practitioner. How could it be dissolved so easily? Yun Chujio suddenly exclaimed, "Look! The blood in the blood pool had decreased. The red spider lily was formed using the blood of these demonic beasts. If we continue to attack the array leaves, those demonic beasts will not survive. We have to save those demonic beasts first before we destroy the array." Di Baiming and Xue Wuji thought that what Yun Chujio said made sense. However, there were so many demonic beasts here that once they regained their freedom, they would probably be too weak to move. Moreover, there was only a narrow exit here. Most of these demonic beasts would not fit, so they had to find another exit first. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. That's easy. Let them into my spiritual beast bag and I'll release them later. Little sister Jiao, you are so smart. Xue Wuji said from the bottom of his heart. Little sister Jiao was not only beautiful, but also smart. Unfortunately, she only had eyes for Di Biming, who had a paralyzed face. What a waste! These demonic beasts had their spiritual power restricted. Then they were fixed to the ground or hung on the roof by iron chains. Yun Chujio comforted them first. We are not with those people from before. Don't worry, we are here to save you. The exit here is very narrow, and it is underground. After the iron chains are cut off, I will let you into my spiritual beast bag. Don't worry, you don't have to recognize me as your master. After this evil formation is destroyed, I will release all of you at the mountain. The high-level demon beasts understood what Yun Chujio meant and nodded their heads in agreement. Yun Chujio started to save the high-level demon beasts. When the low-level demon beasts saw that nothing strange had happened to the high-level demon beasts, they also followed them in. At that time, Secret Agent Hua Hua and Infeng had also finished searching the bodies of the silver-masked men. Just like the last time, they did not find anything other than jade tokens and pills. They could only put away their bodies first for the 4 great sects to identify them. They wanted to see if there were any disciples from their sections. The 5 of them worked hard for hours before they managed to save all the demonic beasts. Yun Chujio saw that some of them had lost too much blood, so she fed them some low-level blood-replenishing herbs from the Great Void Mystic Realm. After they had rescued the demonic beasts, the 5 of them began to attack the formation leaves. In the beginning, red spider lilies would appear on top of the formation leaves to neutralize the spiritual attacks of the 5 of them. Only after the blood in the blood pool was depleted did their attacks become effective. After attacking for nearly 4 hours, the group finally destroyed the evil formation disc. Yun Chujio put the damaged disc into her storage ring and prepared to hand it over to the 4 great sections. The 5 of them searched their surroundings but could not find anything else or an exit. They could only expand the hole that they had used as the entrance before they got on their swords and flew back to the surface. Chapter 855. The Elixir Valley. The 5 of them entered the forest, and Yun Chujio released those demonic beasts at several places. Regardless of whether it was a high-level or low-level demonic beast, they all bowed to Yun Chujio and the others a few times before going their own way. Yun Chujio sighed. Although humans and demonic beasts were sometimes natural enemies, what the godly devil hall did was going too far. After the 5 of them released the last of the beasts, they returned to the Spirit Radiance sect. The moment they entered the Spirit Radiance sect, Yun Chujio felt that something was wrong. Usually, when they entered the Spirit Radiance sect, they would see many disciples along the way. Why was it that when they returned this time, they only saw a few outer sect and odd job disciples? After seeing Master Xianyuan, Yun Chujio received a shocking piece of news. Before she received the news from Yun Chujio, a major event had happened in the Azure Mystic Continent. The Elixir Valley, which opened once every 1,000 years, had opened as scheduled. Although while in the ancient sword tomb they had suspected that someone was pulling the strings, there was no concrete evidence. Moreover, the Elixir Valley was about to be opened. Many ancient spirit herbs lost in history could be found there, so going there was worth the risk. Therefore, the 4 great sects and forces had sent their disciples to the valley. The Elixir Valley was divided into 2 parts, the East Valley and the West Valley. The East Valley had high-level spirit herbs, so only cultivators at the level of Spirit Emperor were allowed access, whereas the West Valley had lower-level spirit herbs, so only cultivators at the level of Spirit Cultivator were allowed in there. However, even the spirit herbs in the West Valley were very precious to the current Azure Mystic Continent. Therefore, the inner disciples and half of the elders of the Spirit Radiance sect rushed to the Elixir Valley to try and obtain as many of them as possible. After a month, the various major powers discovered that something was wrong. Normally, the people inside should have been ejected after a month had passed, yet nothing had happened. What was even stranger still was that the Spiritual Medicine Valley was still open. This meant that they could still enter the valley as they pleased. The people waiting outside could only send more people in to investigate the situation. Unexpectedly, those people did not come out. After 2 months had passed, the Spiritual Medicine Valley had still not closed. No one had been ejected either, so something must have happened to those still inside. The sect leaders of the 4 great sects recalled the incident in the ancient sword tomb. They could confirm that this was the work of the godly Devil Hall. However, even with that knowledge, they were powerless to do anything. The people who had entered had not returned. The only good news was that some people had left their life tokens outside, which showed that they were still alive. They should only be trapped inside. After Yun Chujio found out that the Yun siblings, Feng Ming, and the others were also trapped inside, her head buzzed. No wonder her grandfather had been restless recently. It turned out that it was not him who was going to have an accident, but Fifth Sister and the others. Yun Chujio was originally hesitant about whether she should enter the Elixir Valley to save them, but now she had to go. Sect Master, I'm rushing to the Elixir Valley. If anything happens to me, I'll leave the Yun family and my grandfather to you. Please take care of them. Little Jio sighed. It's better if you stay. I'm afraid you'll be in deep trouble if you go there now. The 4 sect masters had once argued over whether to send more people to investigate what was happening. But now we can tell a storm is coming for the entire Azure Mystic continent. We still have to conserve our strength. Otherwise, if a war starts in the future, we won't even have anyone to fight in it. Master Xianyuan had been mentally and physically exhausted the entire time. His face had also aged considerably. Chapter 856. Venturing into the Dragon's Lair and the Tiger's Lair. Sect Leader, you said that I was doing it for the sake of the sect and for my family. I can't just stand by and watch them stay trapped inside. Although I'm not necessarily stronger, I am definitely smarter. Moreover, I even outsmarted the trap at the Ancient Sword Tomb. I don't believe that the Elixir Valley can trap me. Yun Chujia's small face was full of determination. Even if it was a dragon's den or a tiger's den, she would still go for it. Her smarts always triumphed over whatever came in her way. She would definitely be able to save the others. When Master Xianyuan saw that Yun Chujio had already made up her mind, he could only sigh and say, "All right, since you've already made up your mind, you should take this storage ring with you. It contains all the defensive spirit tools of the Spirit Radiant sect. Bring it with you just in case. Remember that talismans cannot be used in the Elixir Valley, and flying is forbidden." Yun Chujio nodded. Although there were many defensive spirit tools in her storage ring, they all needed to accept her as their master before they could be used. The low-level defensive spirit tools given by Master Xianyuan were more convenient since there were no ownership requirements. And Feng was asked by Yun Chujio to hand over the silver-masked men's corpses and array discs to Master Xianyuan. She also told him the location of Longping Mountain and asked him to gather the 4 sect leaders to follow up with what they found there. After taking care of some things, Yun Chujio and the others left the meeting hall. Di Baiming and Xue Wuji did not stop Yun Chujio. They knew that Yun Chujio valued relationships very much. No matter what, they had to go to the Elixir Valley. The 5 of them immediately got on their flying spirit tools and rushed toward the Elixir Valley. Little Jio, you are now a spirit emperor. You can go to the East Valley, but what about the West Valley? Di Baiming asked Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio frowned. If you can't tell my true spiritual power level, I don't think the array formation of the Elixir Valley will be able to either. They'll try entering the West Valley first, and when the people of the West Valley are rescued, we'll enter the East Valley together. Otherwise, they'll go rescue the East Valley members first. Little Jio, we can try wearing the hidden spirit ring. What if the array formation is fooled? Xue Wuji said. Xue Wuji, if the hidden spirit ring worked, do you think those people won't already be using it? I'm afraid that only Little Jio can sneak in. Di Baiming was very frustrated but could not help, making him feel uneasy. Xue Wuji touched his nose. I also know that it might not work, but I can't let little sister Jio take the risk alone. I'm really worried. Yun Chujio smiled and said, Prince Charming, Brother Wuji, you don't have to worry. I've already broken out of the Ancient Sword Tomb and that barrier, so why would I be afraid of a small Elixir Valley? Moreover, since the spiritual power level of the cultivators allowed to enter the West Valley is low, the demon beasts and the array formation inside should not be as powerful as those at the East Valley. Nothing serious will happen to me. Although Di Baiming and Xue Wuji were worried, they had no other choice but to acquiesce. Half a month later, everyone arrived at the Elixir Valley. Outside the Elixir Valley, There were people from the 4 great sects and other factions. All of them looked distraught. When they saw Yun Chujio, they immediately felt that the manifestation of hope had arrived. This little girl had escaped from the ancient sword tomb after all. She was truly blessed with great fortune. With her, they would be able to rescue the people trapped inside. After the incident in the ancient sword tomb, these people had a mysterious confidence in Yun Chujio. They believed that this little devil would definitely be able to solve all their problems. Chapter 857. No time to bother with you. After Yun Chujio learned more about the situation from them, she walked to the entrance of the West Valley and prepared herself. Di Baiming and Shui Wuji put on their hidden spirit rings and tried to enter the valley. As expected, they were barred from entry. They could only watch as Yun Chujio slowly walked in herself. A white light flashed and Yun Chujio disappeared from the entrance. Everyone understood then that she had successfully entered the West Valley. Di Baiming and Shui Wuji had mixed feelings. They were both happy that Yun Chujio managed to get in, but they were also worried about her safety. At this moment, they could not do anything except wait outside. After a flash of white light, Yun Chujio found herself in a valley. The valley was huge and she could not see where the horizon ended. Yun Chujio casually swept her eyes over it and was surprised to find that the spiritual herbs that casually grew on both sides were high-grade yellow-rank spiritual herbs. Although they were not considered high-grade spiritual herbs, they were still considered pretty useful. No wonder, even though they knew that it might be a trap, most people still flocked to the valley. It was true that people would die for money and animals would die for food. After Yun Chujio was done rambling, she continued to walk forward. She was teleported in randomly, so she did not know where those people were trapped. She could only choose one direction to search. Yun Chujio thought for a moment and decided to search along the direction of the stream. Many spiritual herbs liked to grow near sources of water, so the cultivators who came in would travel along the stream to pick more spiritual herbs. Not long after Yun Chujio reached the stream, a group of 6th-level purple-eyed windblade wolves surrounded her, drooling non-stop. Yun Chujio frowned. 6th level? The intelligence of a 6th-level demon beast was not fully activated yet. It would be great if she could meet an 8th-level demon beast. Perhaps she could get some useful information. Get lost. I don't have time to deal with you. Yun Chujio casually threw a bolt of lightning at the grass beside her. She didn't want to waste her time on the wolves. She just wanted to scare them away. The purple-eyed windblade wolves were shocked. Seeing the deep scorch marks on the grass, they ran away with their tails between their legs. They could not afford to offend this fiend. It was better to change their prey. Yun Chujio encountered a few groups of demon beasts along the way. Most of them were at the 5th and 6th level. Yun Chujio used lightning to scare them away to avoid wasting time. 2 days passed, but she had not managed to find any clues. She had not encountered any high-level demonic beasts, nor had she found any traces of people. Whether it was footprints or some miscellaneous items, there was nothing. It was as if no one had come here before. Yun Chujio even specially observed some places where the spiritual herbs grew. There were no traces of people picking them. Yun Chujio was puzzled. Could it be that she went in the wrong direction? Even if that were the case, with the number of people that had traveled to the valley, she should have found something by then. What was going on? Another 2 days passed, but Yun Chujio still had not found anything. Other than low-level demonic beasts and spirit herbs, there had not seemed to be anything else there. Yun Chujio frowned. Could it be that the array formation had been tampered with? The place where she was teleported to was not the same as the ones used by the others? Fuck. If that were the case, then things would be bad. Forget about saving people. If this were a one-way formation, she would be trapped here. It was no use worrying about that now. She had to think of a solution. Most likely her guess was right. This was not the place where 5th Sister and the others had come in. She had to think of a way out. However, they had to wait for the array to eject someone before they could completely exit the valley. How could she get out with that limitation in place? Chapter 858. Little Blackbird. Yun Chujio frowned. This place was different from the last time she was trapped. While she was at the bottom of the sea, She could still think of a way to find the enchantment barrier. However, this place was boundless and she could not think of a way to find out where the barrier was. Even if she could find the enchantment using an object as a reference point, it would still take several months. At that time, Fifth Sister and the others might have already lost their lives. She had to find a solution as soon as possible. Yun Chujio carefully recalled the incident in the ancient sword tomb. Since it was the godly devil hall's doing, there had to be some similarities. If she carefully figured it out, and she would definitely find something to learn from. Yun Chujio thought hard for a long time, and then her eyes lit up. Although the godly devil hall could control the ancient array formation, the ancient array formation had developed an intelligence after tens of thousands of years. The godly devil hall could not completely control it, just like when she provoked the wild heavenly lightning in the array formation last time. If the godly devil hall could completely control the array formation, they would not have let the wild heavenly lightning strike me and exhaust its spirit stones. She could use the same method and provoke the array formation here to see if there were any flaws. Moreover, although the area she was in had a lot of yellow rank high-grade herbs, there were very few black rank herbs. This meant that this was very likely only the outer valley of the Western Valley. Even if there were an array formation here, it would not be too powerful. She should be able to find an opportunity. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio first ate a few big meat buns and replenished her strength, only then did she start to shout towards the sky, "Hey, the array formation here can't be stupid, right? Otherwise, why would she spend spirit stones to surround such an area that didn't have any valuable herbs? Isn't that waste of resources?" "Ah, but that's right, you're a stupid idiot. So of course you'd do something dumb like that. TSK, I feel sad for your array formation. Other arrays are busy guarding those high-level spiritual medicine areas, but you're guarding a place that's just full of weeds. It's obvious that you're being ostracized. I reckon that a weakling like you probably doesn't have any special ability, right? Can you even use lightning strikes? I reckon you can't, right? TSK, you're weak." Yun Chujio cursed as she looked around. When the formation was activated, there would be spiritual fluctuations. Perhaps she would be able to spot some on the formation's boundary. Yun Chujio cursed for a while. Seeing that there was no reaction, she decided to let out the little black bird. "Little black, you scold it. I look for a flaw while you work." "Master, don't worry. I'm the best at scolding people. Regardless of whether it's a human, a beast, or a rune spirit, I guarantee that it'll anger it to death." Little Black Bird said smugly. Little Black Bird held his waist with one short wing and pointed at the sky with the other. Wah, you shameless rune spirit, you want to trap me here. Puh. With that pathetic look of yours, you still think you can trap me? I just think that you're too stupid to be saved. I'll stay here and watch you make a fool of yourself. You're not convinced, are you? I bet you're so stupid that you can't even count to 10. You didn't dare to make a sound, right? I knew you couldn't count from 1 to 10. If you can strike me with 10 bolts of lightning, prove it to me. Following the scolding of the little black bird, a dark cloud floated over from the sky and struck the little black bird with a bolt of lightning. The little black bird couldn't fly here. It deliberately flapped its wings pitifully and fled in all directions. As it ran, it provoked, "Fuck! You stupid rune spirit, you used lightning to strike me but you missed. You can't strike me, you can't strike me. You even hit little old me." Yun Chujio gestured to little black bird with a thumbs up. She indicated for him to stall for as long as possible so that she could find the source of the spiritual energy fluctuation. Chapter 859. Way of the Sacrificial Bird. Little Black Bird was struck by the lightning. The small cloud thought that it would turn Little Black Bird into charcoal. Who would have thought that even though Little Black Bird was making a scene by rolling and crawling around, he was still alive and kicking after half a day. He also constantly provoked the cloud. "Aya, you stupid lightning. You can only count to 10, right? If you can do more, prove it to me by striking me 20 times. Che, is this really a lightning bolt? It's so weak. I can't feel anything when it strikes my body. Little weakling, did you not eat? Why don't you come back after eating? You are so weak, I feel ashamed for you. No wonder you were only assigned to guard weeds. You are too weak. Master, I have been struck by dozens of lightning bolts. Although the lightning is not as strong as the ones outside, I can't hold on for much longer. You have to hurry up. Little Black Bird said to Yun Chujio with his spiritual sense. Little Black, there doesn't seem to be any abnormal spiritual fluctuations here. We have to change locations, Yun Chujio said with a frown. Little Black Bird was about to cry. Master, you have to be more careful. I can't fly here. I can't run away from these damn lightning bolts forever with these two short legs. Just as Little Black Bird was cursing in its heart, Yun Chujio picked up Little Black Bird and sped away. The lightning bolts in the sky had not reacted for a moment. By the time it had recovered, Yun Chujio had already run dozens of miles away. Then she placed the Little Black Bird on the ground and said, "Continue teasing it." Little Black Bird had no choice but to provoke Wu Yun once again. Bastard thundercloud. I'm warning you, I'm not afraid of you. I'm just tired of the scenery of that lousy place. If you have the guts, continue striking me. You can't strike me with lightning me anymore, right? Why don't you admit defeat? I won't laugh at you. After all, not all lightning bolts deserve to be called heavenly lightning. There is still a kind of weaker version called vegetable lightning in this world. The Wu Yun was so angry that it twitched in the sky. Ever since it gained sentience, that was the first time it had been insulted. It had to electrocute that ugly bird to death. Little Black Bird was struck by lightning again. When he felt that it couldn't hold on any longer, Yun Chujio gave it 2 heavenly-grade exploding spirit pills and instantly revived him to full health. Little Black Bird was also shocked at her willingness to use such high-grade pills on him. When the Little Black Bird finally couldn't hold on any longer, Yun Chujio let the Little Black Bird back into the spirit beast bag. She thought that the lightning would vent its anger and strike her instead. She did not expect that this Wu Yun would stop for a while and then float away. From that day on, Yun Chujio started to exploit the situation. Little Black Bird's miserable daily life now involved provoking the Elixir Valley Wu Yun and then get struck by lightning. The Wu Yun here hated that ugly fire-breathing crow to death. It felt that the bird's mouth was too mean, so it had to kill it. Finally, 3 days later, Yun Chujio said to Little Black Bird, "Little Black, I finally found a spiritual fluctuation somewhere. I need to confirm it's really there." Hearing Yun Chujio's words, Little Black Bird could only change accept its fate and continue to curse the lightning cloud. Fortunately, while he did not learn anything else from Yun Chujio, his cursing had reached a new level with constant use. Yun Chujio suddenly raised her hand and shot a bolt of purple lightning toward a specific area. As expected, she encountered a barrier. It seemed that she had found it. "Master, can I call it a day?" Little Black Bird asked pitifully. Yun Chujio nodded and let Little Black Bird back into her spirit beast bag. Then, she struck the enchantment with lightning a few more times. To her surprise, she found that the enchantment had trembled from the repeated impacts. This meant that the enchantment was not that strong and she could break it. Chapter 860. There must be something wrong with this little girl. After the Elixir Valley Wu Yun discovered Yun Chujio's actions, it realized that it had been tricked. It struck at Yun Chujio in exasperation. This little girl must have instructed the ugly bird to provoke it so that she would discover the fluctuation of spiritual power. How cunning! She had tried to break through its barrier. In her dreams, "It'll kill you before you do anything else." After being struck by lightning 13 times, it realized that this little girl was even more difficult to deal with than the ugly bird. No matter what, the ugly bird could still dodge when it was struck by lightning, indicating that it was still afraid of being struck by lightning. However, this devilish little girl completely turned a blind eye to its heavenly lightning. It angered the cloud to death. "No wonder Little Black said that you are a rookie. You are really weak. I stood here motionlessly and allowed you to strike me, but you still couldn't hurt me. Don't you think you are a good-for-nothing?" Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. It was not bad to consume a little of its spiritual energy. Coincidentally, the 3 malefic beings in her dantian had bottomless stomachs. It was a good opportunity to absorb some of the power of lightning. How could the Wu Yun withstand Yun Chujio's provocation? It kept throwing bolts of lightning at her. After 4 hours, Yun Chujio was still alive and kicking. However, the Wu Yun was getting less and less aggressive, so it had no choice but to give up and run away. Only then did Yun Chujio release the 3 silly munchkins. After thinking for a while, she also released the illusionary electric eel. Although it was an aquatic demon beast, it was still able to attack the enchantment. More beasts meant more power. The illusionary electric eel was now under the control of others. It had to obey regardless of whether it wanted to or not, so it could only help Yun Chujio attack the enchantment together with the others. The enchantment here was indeed not very strong. It was not even half as strong as the one at the bottom of the sea. In less than an hour, a crack had appeared. Yun Chujio put the beasts into her spirit beast bag and sent a few purple lightning bolts at the barrier. After the crack expanded to a size large enough to fit her, she jumped out with a whoosh. The rune spirit here was almost about to cry because of its stupidity. It decided to not tell anyone about how it was tricked and kept the incident to itself. Fortunately, the rune spirit made that stupid decision much to Yun Chujio's benefit. Otherwise, when the other 2 rune spirits found out about its encounter, they would be on guard against Yun Chujio. She would then have a much harder time rescuing the others. After Yun Chujio escaped from the enchantment, she found that there was still a valley full of life in front of her. Yun Chujio randomly chose a direction. After walking for a while, she found that the level of the spirit herbs here was much higher than where she was previously. Moreover, she could occasionally find some traces of humans passing by. Yun Chujio was delighted. This time, she finally found the right place. As long as she followed the tracks, she would definitely be able to find the trapped people. Along the way, they encountered several groups of level 5 or 6 demonic beasts, but Yun Chujio still used heavenly lightning to scare them away. She couldn't help but curse in his heart. Why was it so hard to encounter a level 8 demonic beast? Coincidentally, just as Yun Chujio cursed in her heart, a group of level 8 ironhide leopards surrounded Yun Chujio. The leader of the group, the Leopard King, stared at Yun Chujio with a pair of cold eyes. Then, it found that the little human girl in front of it actually laughed happily, as if she had just made a fortune. Was this little girl sick? It was wondering if that crazy disease was contagious, or else they would have already eaten her. Just as the Leopard King hesitated, it heard the little human girl say, "Little Bun, you came at the right time. Quickly bring me to those trapped cultivators." Chapter 861. The Miserable Leopard King. After the Leopard King recovered from his shock, a look of disdain appeared on his face. This little girl was indeed quite sick. Who did she think she was? She still wanted to order them around? Dream on. Besides, what did she mean by the name Little Bun? They were leopards, not buns. Was she not able to distinguish between apples and oranges? It was truly terrifying to be uncultured. Damned little girl. Regardless of whether her meat could be eaten or not, daring to provoke them like this was courting death. The Leopard King roared a few times and signaled for its underlings to attack together. They would bite this little girl to death first. Yun Chujio curled her lips. The intelligence of these leopards was really worrying. Since they were asking for it, then she would not hold back. In just a few seconds, the Leopard King and its underlings were tragically thunderstruck into nothing but leopard spots. After the bodies of these ironhide leopards were charred black by Yun Chujio's heavenly lightning, she said with a smile, "How is it? Doesn't this new look suit you better? As a reward, help me find those trapped people. Otherwise, it'll burn all your hair off." The Leopard King was about to cry. It had never met such a devilish human. They said that the humans who came here were only spirit cultivators. Why was this fiend in front of him a spirit emperor? Moreover, it was no normal low-level spirit emperor, it was a freaking heavenly thunder root spirit. Why was life so unfair? When he thought about how he would end up bald and riddled with injuries from lightning strikes in the future, he shuddered from fear. Under Yun Chujio's tyrannical power, the Leopard King could only nod his head and sullenly agree. In the beginning, Yun Chujio followed from behind while the Leopard King and his subordinates led the way. After walking for a while, Yun Chujio shouted, "Wait! I'm tired from walking. Little Bun, you'll get on your back." You carry me. The Leopard King felt that he had nothing left to live for. If the other Beast Kings saw him carrying the little girl like a servile spirit pet, he would not be able to survive the ensuing humiliation. The Leopard King decided to resist death. He would rather die than let the little girl have it her way. After a few lightning strikes, the Leopard King comforted himself. This king said that he would not let the little girl succeed even if he died. Since he was still alive, he could only give in to her demands. Yun Chujio leisurely rode on the Leopard King's back, and from time to time, she would pick on it. Don't you have eyes? You can't even go around a puddle? You splashed mud on my shoes. Are the pads on your paws just for decoration? Can't you be more stable? I spilled 2 drops of my tea. The Leopard King felt that it must have owed this little girl something in its previous life. That was why he was so intensely bullied by her now. It had lived for more than 1,000 years, but this was the first time it had been bullied so badly. This sort of treatment was unheard of. The Leopard King felt that its little heart had suffered a critical hit of tens of thousands of points. It could only turn its grief and anger into speed, hoping to get rid of the jinx on its back as soon as possible. As a Beast King in this valley, the Leopard King naturally knew where the human cultivators gathered. It had also planned to attack those people, but seeing that there were so many of them, it knew it had no chance of winning, so it gave up on the idea. Early the next morning, Yun Chujio saw a group of cultivators from afar. There were thousands of them, gathered in 2s and 3s. The cultivators also noticed Yun Chujio as she approached. The sun had just risen in the morning, and the valley was covered with multicolored light. Amidst the light, a white-clothed girl rode a leopard and slowly approached. The girl's brows and eyes were exquisite as if drawn by a paintbrush bit by bit. A brilliant smile was on her face, and she repeatedly waved at everyone. Everyone, long time no see. I'm here to save you. Chapter 862. Was this a leopard? Even after many years, the cultivators who were trapped there would still remember the beautiful scene they saw that day. They remembered the smile on the young girl's face, the one like a breeze that blew away the fear, decadence, and despair in their hearts. Ever since they were trapped in the Western Elixir Valley, their confidence had gradually eroded. They were even prepared to be trapped here for a lifetime or even die. They did not expect that just a smile would restore their confidence. The arrival of the young girl, just like the rising sun behind her, rekindled their hope. After the young girl approached, the Yun siblings rushed over. Little Gio. It's Little Gio. Little Gio, why are you here? You're fine, that's great. Little Gio, how did you become so beautiful? Feng Ming and the others also surrounded her. Junior sister Little Gio, is it you? I thought our eyes were playing tricks on us. You've escaped from the ancient sword tomb. I knew it. I told everyone, how could that little evildoer die so easily? After they chatted for a while, Yun Chujio said with a smile, tell me about how you were trapped. Little Bun, come here and be my chair. The Leopard King, who was slowly walking the other way and was about to secretly escape, trembled and had no choice but to trot over. It lay prostrate on the ground and sadly became Yun Chujio's chair. Junior sister Xiao Jiao, this is a level 8 ironhide leopard. The fur of the ironhide leopard is not usually like this. How did it end up looking like this? Feng Ming asked curiously. The Leopard King felt that it had been hit by a heart attack. This little brat really opened up a can of worms. If it wasn't due to my lack of strength, I would fight you to the death. Leopards can be killed but not humiliated. Hee hee, this is a new outfit I designed for them. Isn't it pretty? Yun Chujio felt much more relieved when she saw that the Yun siblings and Feng Ming were safe and sound. Only then did Feng Ming realize that those black spots weren't spots at all. It turned out that they were scorch marks from lightning strikes. Feng Ming silently sympathized with the leopards in his heart. Meeting junior sister Little Gio was the greatest misfortune of your lives. Feng Ming told them what had happened. When they initially entered, they saw the medicinal plants all over the ground. Naturally, they were elated and excitedly harvested them. However, after a month had passed, they tragically discovered that they had not been automatically sent out at all. Everyone had no way to escape and had dispelled their previous prejudices. All the people from the various factions had gathered to think of a solution, but they still had no way out. Later on, when some people came in to investigate what had happened, they also ended up trapped here. At first, they had held on to the hope of finding the exit and enchantment barrier, but after countless disappointments, the hope turned into despair. They had given up on the search and gathered together to resign themselves to their fate. Yun Chujio nodded after listening. Everyone, don't give up. There will definitely be a solution to this predicament. Just as Yun Chujio finished her sentence, a few scattered and disdainful voices sounded. Tsk, do you think you are that great? There are so many of us here, but we still couldn't find a way out. What makes you, who just go in, think you can? Some people are lucky enough to succeed once and think they are amazing. There might not have been anything wrong in the ancient sword tomb and spread exaggerated rumors instead. That's right, you think of yourself as a prodigy. No matter how powerful you are, aren't you only at the 5th level of the Spirit Emperor realm? You can't even enter this place at that level. Of the majority of the people who escaped from the ancient sword tomb, there were only a few at the level of the Spirit Emperor realm. Only about 20 people among the people in the Elixir Valley had seen Yun Chujio's abnormal abilities, so the remaining few thousand people were naturally suspicious of Yun Chujio. Chapter 863, Coercion. Senior Brother Feng Ming, how did you find the enchantment barrier? Yun Chujio turned a deaf ear to these questions. If she had a choice, she would not have bothered to save these idiots. However, to fight against the godly Devil Hall in the future, she needed all the help she could get. She could only reluctantly save these idiots along the way. Feng Ming smiled bitterly. Junior sister Little Jiao, we used the stupidest method. We blindly attacked any suspicious spots to see where we would encounter the barrier. Unfortunately, we never found it. Yun Chujio nodded. Although it was the dumbest method, it was also the easiest to execute. She did not know if it would be useful to try insulting the resident rune spirit again. Yun Chujio stood up and cursed at the sky with her hands on her waist. There was no reaction. It seemed that this rune spirit here was not so stupid. When the people who ridiculed Yun Chujio saw her behavior, they laughed again and again. I told you that this Yun Chujio was just bluffing, right? She really has nothing to do. She's actually scolding the rune spirit. Isn't she afraid that the rune spirit will punish her in anger? That's right. The rune spirit is equivalent to Tian Dao here. Isn't it asking for death to curse at the rune spirit? I think we should kneel and beg for it to let us go. You're right. Why didn't we think of that before? Quick, let's kneel and beg the rune spirit to let us out. The person's words were the last straw for everyone. They knelt and begged the rune spirit for mercy. Lord Rune Spirit, we were wrong. Please let us out. Yes. Lord Rune Spirit, as long as you let us out, we will pray for you day and night in the future. We will present you with offerings daily. Everyone knelt for a long time. Other than the sound of the wind, there were no other changes. At that time, one of the men said, Yun Chujio must have insulted the rune spirit and angered it. That's why the Lord Rune Spirit didn't accept our request. Yun Chujio, quickly kneel and apologize to the Lord Rune Spirit. Yes. Yun Chujio, quickly kneel. We can't all be implicated because of your mistake alone. Yun Chujio, if you don't kneel, don't blame us for treating you badly. The Leopard King felt that these people must have been mentally ill. The so-called rune spirit would never let them go. Since it had already trapped them, why would it let them go? Moreover, the one you were scolding is a little devil in disguise. Are you looking for trouble? The Yun siblings, Feng Ming, and the others were furious. Shut up. Has your conscience been eroded completely? Junior sister Little Jiao risked her life to come here, and this is how you repay her. Moreover, since this rune spirit trapped us here, what reason would it have to let us go? The person who spoke first had a disdainful look on his face. Feng Ming, what you said sounded too nice. I don't believe that Yun Chujio is so kind-hearted. Maybe she came in for the spirit medicine. Doesn't everyone want to get out? If they want to, then force Yun Chujio to kneel and admit her mistake to the rune spirit. This is our only way. Nobody wants to be trapped here forever. Yun Chujio, quickly kneel and apologize. Or else we will kill you. At that moment, everyone had already lost their minds due to the despair and that person's words. After being provoked by him, they immediately shouted, "That's right. That makes sense. Yun Chujio, quickly kneel and apologize. Or else we will attack you." When the Spirit Radiant sect members saw that the others wanted to attack Yun Chujio, they quickly drew their weapons, then put themselves between Yun Chujio and her would-be attackers. Chapter 864. A bunch of idiots. Anyone who protects Yun Chujio is going against the rune spirit. Get out of the way or we'll kill you all. That person continued to cause a commotion from behind the crowd. Thus, get out of the way. If you don't want to die, then get out of the way. We must make Yun Chujio apologize to the rune spirit. We don't want to be trapped here forever. Yun Chujio, if you have a shred of conscience, then quickly stand up and apologize to the Lord Rune Spirit. Otherwise, we won't hold back anymore. Yun Chujio's eyes darkened. These people were too stupid to be saved. However, the most detestable one was the person who started all this trouble. He was so scheming. Could it be that he had a grudge against her? Or was he someone from the godly devil hall? Yun Chujio thought of this and smiled slightly. Senior brother Feng Ming, stand aside. I have something to say to them. Feng Ming and the others were already used to Yun Chujio's plans. When they heard Yun Chujio's words, they immediately opened up a path. Yun Chujio slowly walked to the front of the crowd. I can apologize to the rune spirit. Brother, come over here. I have a few questions that I don't understand, so I want to ask you first. Yun Chujio shouted at the man behind the crowd who had instigated things. The man's eyes flickered a few times. Just as he hesitated, he heard Yun Chujio say mockingly, "Aren't you the one who made the most noise? Why don't you even have the guts to confront me? Could it be that what you said just now was all for selfish reasons?" The man said with a stern expression, "What selfish reasons would I have? I'm only saying what was on everyone's minds. I'd like to see what other tricks you have up your sleeve." The man reluctantly walked to the front and looked at Yun Chujio with a guarded expression. "What do you have to ask? It's better to quickly kneel and admit your mistake to the rune spirit." Yun Chujio sized him up. He was wearing the disciple uniform of the Heavenly Gate sect, so he should be one of their disciples. Yun Chujio smiled. "It's fine to admit your mistake, but..." Yun Chujio suddenly jumped forward and hit the man's chest with her palm. Although the man was on guard, the difference in spiritual power between him and Yun Chujio was considerable. There was no way for him to dodge and he was hit directly. Yun Chujio did not intend to kill him, so she only used 30% of her strength. Even so, the man was still sent flying hundreds of feet away and spat out a mouthful of blood. Before he got up, Yun Chujio was already in front of him. The kitchen knife was pressed on his neck, and then she grabbed his chin. As expected, she found a hidden poison in the man's mouth. "Oh, I wonder why this righteous person hid poison in your mouth? Could it be that you were ready to commit suicide at any time?" As far as I know, only some shady organizations would let their subordinates hide poison in their mouths, right? Unfortunately, the organization that tried to harm us in the ancient sword tomb was one such organization. Don't tell me you're related to them? Yun Chujio asked with a cold smile. The man's eyes flickered. He defended himself. "Yun Chujio, don't slander me. The reason why I hid the poison in my mouth was that I was afraid of encountering any danger. I wanted to commit suicide to preserve my dignity. This Yun Chujio deliberately wanted to kill everyone here. Are you just going to watch her kill me?" The onlookers immediately became agitated and started to clamor, "Yun Chujio, quickly release him. Otherwise, we won't let you off easily. Thus, release him. Quickly apologize to the rune spirit." Yun Chujio shouted angrily, "A bunch of idiots. All of you shut the fuck up, or else, I'll kill him." When the crowd saw Yun Chujio cutting into the man's face bit by bit, they immediately felt a chill down their spines. Their clamoring voices gradually became softer and softer. Chapter 865. Dumber than pigs? Do you want to erase the spiritual sense on this by yourself, or do you want me to forcefully erase it for you? Yun Chujio held the man's storage ring and asked. Although the man was screaming in pain, he still said stubbornly, Yun Chujio, what right do you have to look into my storage ring? Everyone, are you going to let Yun Chujio behave so arrogantly? Don't you all want to get out? The onlookers were about to say something when they saw Yun Chujio chop off the man's right hand with a kitchen knife. The man screamed in pain. Everyone was stunned. They never thought that Yun Chujio would attack without a word. Yun Chujio ignored them and forcefully erased the man's spiritual sense that was left on the storage ring. The man's spiritual sense was in great pain and he fainted immediately. Yun Chujio used her spiritual sense to scan the storage ring and found the jade token with the red spider lily engraved on it. She smiled coldly and pointed at a person. Come here, take out the jade token inside. Otherwise, you will accuse me of framing him. That person saw that Yun Chujio was pointing at him with a bloody kitchen knife and did not dare disobey. He took the jade token out from the storage ring. When the crowd saw the red spider lily pattern on the back of the jade token, they were stunned. Now, there was no need for further words. The pattern shown on the jade token was like a slap to their faces. They were all fooled by the fainted man. They could not even distinguish right from wrong. They had wronged Yun Chujio. They were worse than pigs and dogs. Just when the crowd was about to apologize to Yun Chujio, the man on the ground woke up. He said with grief and indignation, Everyone, I found that jade medallion by accident. I haven't handed it over to the sect yet. This Yun Chujio is very cunning. Don't be deceived by her. By accident? You are quite powerful. Then tell me, how did you get it by accident? Yun Chujio said with a cold smile. I killed a black-clothed man wearing a mask and found it on his body. A man in black? What about the time and place? Why did you kill him? A month ago, I went to the Eupatorium Valley to harvest Eupatorium grass. After that man in black saw me, he attacked me without any explanation. Naturally, I couldn't sit still and wait for death. Thus we fought. I managed to kill him and found a jade token and a few bottles of pills on his body. I originally planned to hand it over to the sect, but when I heard the news of the opening of the Elixir Valley, I forgot about the matter. Everyone, I was wronged. Yun Chujio is arrogant and despotic. She was preparing to beat a confession out of me. Previously, I was so kind-hearted and wanted to save everyone. Could it be that you all just watched Yun Chujio torture me? The man said in grief and indignation. The onlookers were uncertain again. What the man said was not without reason. Moreover, there were disciples of the Heaven's Gate sect who testified that the man had indeed been to the Eupatorium Valley a few days ago. Yun Chujio, what he said is also reasonable. How can you prove that this jade token is his? If he picked it up, not only did you cut off his right hand, but you also damaged his spiritual sense. What do you have to say about that? That's right. You can't convict him just from that jade token, right? Senior Brother Lu has always been well-behaved in our Heaven's Gate sect. How could he be a member of the Red Spider Lily faction? Yun Chujio, are you trying to justify yourself by beating him into submission? Yun Chujio recalled a classic saying at this moment, men are not afraid of godlike enemies but incompetent allies. These people were dumber than pigs. Chapter 866, Sharpening the Knife. You're not one of them? Yun Chujio looked at the man with a faint smile. Of course I'm not. As a disciple of the Heavenly Gate sect, why would I join those godly Devil Hall scoundrels? The man replied with a face full of grief and indignation. Since you're not a member of the godly Devil Hall, go ahead and declare the master of that sect a bastard. The corners of Yun Chujio's mouth curled up as she looked at the man with a mocking expression. The man had never expected Yun Chujio to make such a request. Fuck, how could a normal person make such a request? She was the devil incarnate. The man had sworn to be loyal to the master. If he insulted the master, he would definitely be breaking his oath. The man's eyes flickered and he tried his best to think of a way out of his predicament. A few disciples from the Heavenly Gates sect who testified that the man had been to the Eupatorium Valley shouted, "Senior Brother Lu, if Yun Chujio wants you to scold the master, just do it. What's the big deal? We don't need to hold back when insulting the godly devil hall. What's so difficult about doing that?" That's right, what's so difficult about that? The fact that you're in such a difficult position can only mean one thing. You're a member of the godly devil hall. Yun Chujio looked at the man with a burning gaze, thinking that even the noisy ones could sometimes be useful. The man was now in a dilemma. He definitely could not insult the master. He would be damned if he insulted the master and still damned if he did not. What should he do? The man was so anxious that he could not think straight. He could only say dryly, "How can a gentleman insult others? Moreover, your words are too vulgar." Yun Chujio sneered, "Insult others? Vulgar? Being merciful to the enemy is being cruel to yourself. You don't have to keep up the act anymore. In fact, you have already exposed yourself. It doesn't matter whether you do it or not." The man showed a trace of panic. "You're spewing nonsense. You are the one who slandered me." "I have never said the words godly devil hall. How did you know I was referring to them? You just admitted it. You have a jade token engraved with the red spider lily with you. You knew the name of the force behind the spider lilies, and you dare not to insult the Lord of the godly devil hall. What else do you have to say for yourself? Everyone, don't you understand? He deliberately instigated things so everyone would target me and we'd start killing each other. Think carefully. Which of his words did not involve instigation or the stirring up of trouble? He did this because he wants to keep us in here so that we fall prey to the schemes of the godly devil hall." Yun Chujio said with a sneer. Although the onlookers were stupid, they were not stupid. The evidence was so clear. If they still didn't believe it, then there was something wrong with their brains. Their faces were full of shame. They wished that they could find a hole to hide in. They quickly directed their shame on the man by hurling insults at him. "Lu Li, you heartless thing. We trusted you so much. You actually joined the godly devil hall, you shameless scum. You're a backstabber and traitor. People like you should be cut into pieces. No wonder you provoked us to go against Yun Chujio. It turns out that you had evil intentions. Yun Chujio chopping off your right hand was the right move. Not to mention your right hand, she should have taken your life." Yun Chujio found things to be funny in her heart. The people's standpoint had changed so quickly. There were also benefits to being stupid. It was easy to fool them. Yun Chujio looked at the half-dead man on the ground. "Tell me, how do you want to deal with us? If you are not honest, I will do as they say and chop off your left hand then both your legs." Yun Chujio took out a whetstone as she spoke. She held out the large kitchen knife and started menacingly sharpening it. Chapter 867. You owe me. The man's heart trembled at the sound of Yun Chujio sharpening her knife. He was on the verge of breaking down from the torture. "We'll talk. I beg you, stop sharpening that knife." Finally, the man could not stand it anymore. Only then did Yun Chujio stop. "If you want to talk, just say whatever you have to say. If you don't, I'll continue sharpening. I'm just following orders. I don't know much either, but the higher-ups once said that you're our #1 enemy. That we'd kill you without mercy. So, I just wanted to sow discord. If I can get you killed as a result, it'd be a great achievement." Yun Chujio could not help but laugh. #1 enemy? She did not expect that she would be so highly regarded in the godly devil hall. However, it made sense. Her training trips out to train had always resulted in her inadvertently spoiling their plans. Even a lightning bolt could destroy their evil formation. It would be strange if they did not hate her. "Tell me everything you know. Did you tamper with the Elixir Valley formation? How are you going to deal with us in the end?" Yun Chujio pointed the kitchen knife at the man's left hand. The man quickly answered, "The formation was tampered with by the higher-ups. It is said that in another month, this place would sink into the ground again. At that time, you'd all be trapped here forever. What about you? How will you escape at the last moment? You won't be trapped here with us, right?" The higher-ups said that they'd get me out at the last moment. Yun Chujio sneered, You are really naive. You are not Goldface's messenger, are you? You don't know how to use the secret technique of the red spider lily, do you? How can they get you out? They are obviously just using you, you idiot. Are there people doing the same at the East Elixir Valley? The man was completely caught off guard by Yun Chujia's words. He was stunned for a while before he said, I don't know. Impossible. That's impossible. The higher-ups would not lie to me. The Lord will not be so heartless. I still want to ascend. Ha! You are lying. The Lord is a God, and the Lord is omnipotent. He will be able to save me. You idiots, all of you will die. Only I will survive in the end. The Lord will save me, He will save me. The man's spiritual sense had already been damaged when Yun Chujio wiped the spiritual sense from his storage ring. Now, under the huge psychological, he had gone crazy. Yun Chujio deliberately looked at the man's pupils. He was absent-minded and did not seem to be faking it. His willpower was too poor, right? He went crazy just from that? However, fortunately, she did not have anything further to ask. If he went crazy, then so be it. Come here. This person is from your Heavenly Gate sect. You can deal with him yourself. Yun Chujio pointed at the Heavenly Gates sect disciple who had testified to going to the Eupatorium Valley just now. That disciple was so regretful that his intestines turned green. He wished he could give himself 2 slaps and place a sign on his forehead saying gullible. Call him Mr. Gullible. There was no need for him to say anything. This time, they could count on him to do this simple task. That disciple walked in front of the man and hit the back of the man's neck with his palm. Then, like dragging a dead dog, he dragged the man to the center of the Heaven Sect's disciples. Everyone looked at each other and asked Yun Chujio shamelessly, Yun, Fairy Yun, we were fooled by that bastard previously. We are sorry. Please accept our apologies. Yun Chujio laughed coldly in her heart. She was arrogant but respectful. Such a person was not welcomed by others. However, she had a dignified expression on her face. Everyone, there is no need to be so polite. It was all instigated by that villain. You were also fooled by him. Fairy Yun is indeed magnanimous. One look and you can tell that she is a person who has achieved great things. Fairy Yun, what do you think we should do now? Is there nothing to do but wait here for death? Chapter 868. I don't want to run around naked. You can only leave if you find the edge of the enchantment barrier. I tried to provoke the rune spirit just now to release a cloud to come after me. When it strikes me, you guys can split up and look for the place where the spirit power fluctuations are abnormal. From there you can confirm the location of the barrier. Unfortunately, the rune spirit here is quite cunning. Due to the scene that man created just now, I'm afraid the lightning cloud will not show itself now. Yun Chujio sighed as she said with great regret. Hearing this, everyone felt ashamed and annoyed. They wished they could cut Lu Li into 1,000 pieces to vent their anger. Fairy Yun, is there no other way? This place is so big. If the array formation doesn't show any spirit fluctuations, we won't be able to find the enchantment at all. Didn't you guys search for a long time in vain? So, it's now down to time, luck, and fate. I don't have any other good ideas now. Yun Chujio said with a frown. At that moment, everyone's intestines were green with regret. If they could turn back time, they definitely would not fall for Lu Li's instigating words. It was over. They would be stuck here forever. They had shattered their hopes of getting out with their own hands. Yun Chujio saw everyone's regretful look and felt a tinge of satisfaction. They deserved it. What were they thinking when they scolded her just now? What were they thinking when they forced her to kneel to the rune spirit? What were they thinking when they acted dumb and looked down on her? Yun Chujio saw the leopard king who had already sneaked 100 feet away. She sneered and said, Little bun, where are you going? Why aren't you coming over? I'm tired. The leopard king ran over without a complaint in his mind and continued to act as a chair for her. Yun Chujio sat on the leopard king with a frown on her face. Although she said that she wanted to take revenge on those idiots, she was telling the truth. Now that the rune spirit was on guard, it would be very difficult to provoke it into action. How could she find the barrier? Yun Chujio thought for a long time but could not come up with any good ideas. She could only try her best. She placed her hands on her hips and started cursing at the rune spirit again. She went on until her mouth and her tongue were dry, yet there was no response at all. Yun Chujio could only continue to sit on the Leopard King in frustration. When everyone saw that it was as Yun Chujio said, they became even more desperate. The turbulent regret they felt in their hearts could be described as quaking mountains and churning seas. If it wasn't for the fact that Lu Li still had the value to be interrogated, they would have torn him apart long ago. Yun Chujio frowned. With time, they would be able to eventually find the enchantment barrier. However, time was a luxury they did not have. Lu Li said that the enchantment would sink into the ground after some time had passed. Perhaps the people above him had fooled him. This elixir valley was very likely to be like the ancient sword tomb. After some time, it would self-destruct. Yun Chujio was so frustrated that she casually began to pull at the Leopard King's fur. She pulled out tuft after tuft, much to the Leopard King's discomfort. The Leopard King was so depressed that it wanted to hit its head against a wall. What kind of sin had he committed? Why did he have to meet such a little devil? He did not want to end up naked. If he became bald, he would not be able to survive in the beast world in the future. The Leopard King did not dare to resist, so it secretly moved backward. Yun Chujio did not notice, and a moment later, when she leaned back, she fell on her back. Yun Chujio originally couldn't think of a way, so she was very annoyed. Now, she blamed it on the Leopard King. Damn. Little bun, are you trying to escape again? Get over here. The Leopard King was like a wronged wife. It moved to Yun Chujio's side and then pointed at a piece of leopard fur on the ground with its claws. Yun Chujio then realized that she was grabbing the Leopard King's fur. She thought it was wild grass. She coughed dryly. Cough, cough. If the old doesn't make way for the new, things will never change. Besides, I didn't pull out that much. Chapter 869. I'm not a stupid deer. The Leopard King looked at the tufts of leopard fur on the ground and trembled with anger. Little devil, is it really okay for you to lie like this? Yun Chujio glanced at the Leopard King's bare skin and touched her nose guiltily. She took out the corpses of several giant ice wolves from her storage ring. I'll let you have a taste of this. It wasn't easy for me to get these. After the Leopard King finished eating the meat, its attitude immediately changed from one of hostility to being obedient. Damn, this wolf meat was much better than the wolf meat in the Elixir Valley. Although this little devil crossed the line sometimes, she was still quite generous. What she said made sense. If the old didn't make way for the new, then he would never know if a stronger coat of fur would grow. When everyone saw the majestic 8th-level Ironhide leopard being obsequious like a puppy, they felt embarrassed on its behalf. Yun Chujio looked at the fawning Leopard King and an idea flashed through her mind. Yun Chujio patted the Leopard King's big head and sighed, "Sigh. Little bun, it's fate that we met. I can't bear for you to be kept in the dark. This Elixir Valley will self-destruct in another month. I'm afraid all of you will die just like us." Fairy Yun, didn't Lu Li say that this Elixir Valley will only sink underground? Someone asked in surprise. Yun Chujio was about to cry from the stupidity of these onlookers. Damn it, are all these sect members so gullible? I'm afraid that the godly devil hall is trying to fool Lu Li. Why would they only trap us after spending so much effort? If we refer to the situation in the ancient sword tomb, this place will surely be destroyed. Thinking back to that time in the ancient sword tomb, after the self-destruction array formation was activated, the sky was constantly struck by lightning. What was even more terrifying was that the ground cracked and there was raging fire below. When everyone heard Yun Chujio's words, their faces paled with fear. If that happened, does that mean they would all be dead? Sigh. When that time comes, it won't be just us but the demonic beasts and spiritual herbs will also wiped out. It's a disaster. Yun Chujio let out a long sigh. The Leopard King had been thinking of a way to escape and had not paid attention to what Lu Li said. Now that it heard Yun Chujio's words, it was also afraid. Little bun, you are much stronger than us. No matter what, you have lived for hundreds of years, right? That's long enough, right? Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said, "The Leopard King wanted to maul her to death. What the fuck did she mean that it was worth it? Who the fuck would want to die so pointlessly? Fairy Yun, is there no way? The only way is to find a place with abnormal spiritual energy fluctuations. That place is very likely to be where the enchantment barrier is at. At that time, we can work together to break the enchantment and have a chance to survive. Otherwise, what awaits us is death," Yun Chujio said resolutely. "Fairy Yun, we have been looking for a long time, but we haven't found the enchantment. Do you have any other ideas?" Everyone placed their hopes on Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio glanced at the Leopard King. The Leopard King could not help but tremble. What was she looking at me for? I do not know where the enchantment is. Why was the little devil looking at me? Little bun, you don't want to die, do you? The Leopard King rolled its eyes. It was not a simple stupid deer. Of course, it did not want to die. Now, we can only survive if we work together. How about we make a deal? Yun Chujio said with a smile. Chapter 870. Fermented Doubt. The Leopard King looked at Yun Chujio's smile. No matter how he looked at it, it looked like a smile filled with nothing but malice. He did not know what kind of evil schemes this little devil was up to. Little bun, you have lived in this Elixir Valley for hundreds of years. Maybe even thousands of years. Have you never noticed any abnormal spiritual energy fluctuations? Even if you haven't noticed it, it's still not too late to try now. Help me coerce those high-level demon beasts to help look for the abnormal spiritual energy fluctuations. As a reward, after we break through the enchantment, we bring all of you along and resettle you in another valley. How about it? Will you for death here, or do you want to make an easy deal with me? Yun Chujio smiled like a sly fox. The Leopard King rolled its big eyes, as it considered the authenticity of Yun Chujio's words. Yun Chujio did not force it. She believed that the Leopard King would agree. The intelligence of a level 8 demonic beast was already quite high, so it surely knew how to make the smarter choice. Sure enough, the Leopard King howled at Yun Chujio twice and then nodded its huge head. "I knew you weren't stupid, then hurry up and go. I'll wait for your good news here." Yun Chujio waved her hands, indicating that the Leopard King could leave. The Leopard King led its underlings and disappeared from everyone's sight with a few swooshes. Some people said, "Fairy Yun, is that Leopard King lying to you? Maybe it took the opportunity to escape." "Yeah, how can a demonic beast cooperate with us humans? It will not come back." "Fairy Yun, you've ruined the Leopard King's fur so badly. It would be a miracle if it came back." Yun Chujio looked at them indifferently. "Let's just do what we can. Since you're so energetic, help me curse the rune spirit. When it sends out the lightning cloud after us, it'll soak up the lightning it for you. Some people are only good at using their mouths but not much else. Everyone keep an eye on each other. I want to see if anyone else is taking advantage of the situation. Could there be another spy from the godly devil hall among us?" When everyone heard this, their hearts were on the verge of breaking down. She was going to take the blame for them? Those Wu Yun did have eyes, so why would it only target her? Every injustice has a debtor. If they were the ones who cursed, it would target them. However, they could not disagree to the plan. Otherwise, it would be bad if they were labeled as spies from the godly devil hall. It was all the fault of those talkative people. What nonsense are you spouting? It's none of your business if the Leopard King doesn't come back? Fuck, he's just a coward then. Everyone was afraid of being suspected, so they all tried their best to curse the rune spirit. Unfortunately, it had no effect at all. Yun Chujio thought to herself that either the rune spirit had a problem with its ears or it had a very strong mental endurance. It could endure being scolded like that. It had really strong willpower. 3 days passed, but there was still no news from the Leopard King. Everyone was discouraged. It seemed that beasts were indeed just beasts after all. They had no integrity at all. They must have used that excuse to escape. Some people still had hope for Yun Chujio in the beginning, but they started doubting her when they saw that all her ideas had not worked. What was cursing the rune spirit going to do? Trading with demonic beasts? They were all absurd. Soon after, rumors began to ferment. This Yun Chujio is rumored to be amazing. It was said that she saved everyone by herself at the ancient sword tomb. I think it's all an exaggeration. Yeah, for so long, other than cursing Jinlei and trusting the Leopard King, I haven't seen any real ability from her. She even played with the iron-hide leopard. In the end, she was tricked by it. Exactly, pigs would fly if the leopard came back. If it does return, I will eat the dirt on the ground. Chapter 871. The Return of the Leopard King. At that point, Yun Chujio was already immune to gossip. On the contrary, the Yun siblings, Feng Ming, and the others who stood up for her had almost fought with those people. Damn it. What a bunch of ingrates. Junior sister little Jio, don't take it to heart. That leopard will definitely come back. Feng Ming comforted her. Yun Chujio smiled indifferently. Senior brother Feng Ming, when have I ever cared about these things? I know the Leopard King will come back. It's just that I don't know whether it will bring good or bad news with it. When those people heard Yun Chujio's words, they all curled their lips. This Yun Chujio was so blindly confident in herself. Let's see how you react to a slap in the face when the time comes. It has already been 3 days. If that Leopard King was coming back, it would have done so long ago. Right at that moment, they heard someone exclaim, "Why is the ground shaking? Could it be that the array formation has begun to destroy the Elixir Valley?" Everyone also noticed that the ground shook and immediately panicked. Every one of them was like headless flies. Yun Chujio frowned. It was still too soon. The array formation should not self-destruct yet. What on earth was going on? She looked into the distance and saw a cloud of dust. She could faintly hear the roars of beasts from that direction. She was delighted. It should be the Leopard King should have returned, but why was the ground shaking? After a moment, Yun Chujio finally discovered the reason. Thousands of high-level demonic beasts were sprinting toward them while following the Leopard King's lead. When everyone saw that the valley was not going to self-destruct yet, they calmed down a little. However, so many demonic beasts were approaching. If this horde of beasts attacked them, they would not stand a chance. Did Yun Chujio just doom them all? A moment later, the beast horde stopped in front of everyone. Yun Chujio made her way to the front to greet the Leopard King. "Little Bun, I didn't expect you to be so good at doing things. What do you mean by bringing so many beasts here? Have you found the place where the spiritual energy fluctuates abnormally?" The Leopard King nodded proudly and called out a few times. It was doing nothing more than just showing off at that point. "Little Bun, lead the way. I will keep my promise. After we break through the barrier, I will bring all of you out with us." Yun Chujio saw the Leopard King nod its head and was delighted. As long as they found the barrier, their freedom would be guaranteed. The Leopard King nodded its head and let out a few roars at the beast horde. Then, it made a few gestures with its claws. Dozens of beast kings of different species also responded with roars of their own. They did not share the same language, so it was not easy to communicate with them. Fortunately, they could still figure out what the Leopard King was trying to tell them. The beast horde turned around and led the way toward their destination. Yun Chujio followed the horde closely from behind. The Yun siblings, Feng Ming, and the people from the Spirit Radiance sect followed her without any hesitation. The rest of the people hesitated for a moment. Was this a good idea? However, there were no other ideas at the moment. It was the only choice in front of them. Therefore, after they hesitated for a moment, those people also followed. Everyone followed the beast horde for a full day. Some people were still suspicious. Could it be that these demonic beasts were leading them into a trap? Why had they not arrived yet even after such a long time? Although they were suspicious, they did not dare to leave the group. They might still have a chance of survival if they followed Yun Chujio. Otherwise, they could only wait for death. Fortunately, the next morning, the beast horde stopped moving. The Leopard King ran to a small mound and then pushed out one of its paws. Everyone saw that the paw was blocked. Everyone immediately cheered, "A barrier! It must be a barrier! We are saved. We are going to get out." Chapter 872. A smile to bury the hatchet. Fairy Yun is really clever. She thought of such a good idea. It's really admirable. Yes, only a genius like Fairy Yun would come with such a brilliant idea. If it weren't for Fairy Yun, we would have been trapped here and died already. A genius is a genius. How can ordinary people like us compare to her? Fairy Yun is the person I admire the most in my life. Yun Chuki really couldn't bear to see these people taking advantage of the situation. She snorted coldly and said, "Back then, who was it that said that little Gio was only here to pick spirit herbs? Who forced little Gio to kneel to the rune spirit? Who said that little Gio's ideas were all bad ideas? There's a limit to how shameless a person can be. I remember someone saying that if the Leopard King returns, he will eat dirt. Isn't it time to fulfill his promise?" Everyone's faces turned green and white. People generally wanted their reputations intact and unsullied after all. After being scolded by Yun Chuki, everyone felt a little embarrassed, especially the man who offered to eat dirt. He wished he could find a hole to hide in. After Yun Chuki said that, she gave Yun Chujio a look. Yun Chujio nodded her head indiscernibly. She thought to herself, the brothers and sisters of the Yun family are all honest. Only seventh sister is this clever. She wants me to use this opportunity to win people's hearts. Everyone, my seventh sister is straightforward and has doted on me since I was young. Don't mind it, she sounded too harsh, Yun Chujio said lightly. The corner of the Yun siblings' eyes twitched. Doted on you since you were young? Little Gio, is it really good for you to lie so openly? Those people were eager to get out of the awkward situation they were in. They immediately fell into her trap and laughed. Fairy Yun, what Miss Chuki said makes sense. We were blinded by frustration and said some unnecessary things. We're really sorry. Yes, Fairy Yun, we are inexperienced. I didn't expect you to be so powerful. You actually managed to convince the Leopard King. We have wronged you. Exactly that. Fairy Yun, if you don't vent your anger on us, I will really eat dirt. The man who said that he would eat dirt had his face turned red as he stammered. Yun Chujio smiled lightly. Everyone, don't be so serious. It's just some words. I won't take it to heart. As the saying goes, a smile is enough to bury the hatchet. Let bygones be bygones. Right now, the most important thing is for us to work together to break the barrier. Everyone stay where you are and rest. Wait for me to test the strength of this barrier before we discuss what to do. The crowd did not expect Yun Chujio to be so magnanimous. They felt even more ashamed and expressed that they would repay her in the future. Yun Chujio sneered in her heart. Repay. It was already good enough they did not stab her in the back. Some people's hearts could not be warmed no matter how hard they tried. However, there were only a few villains who acted according to the wind. From then on, most people treated Yun Chujio as their savior. Yun Chujio waved her hand at the Leopard King. Little Bun, get out of the way. Let me try something. The Leopard King ran to the front of the herd and thought to himself that it would be good to let them see the little devil's strength. Otherwise, they would think that he was a coward that did not dare to fight back after being reduced to such a sorry state. They would know once they saw her capabilities. Fight back? What a joke. If he fought back, he would not only be a leopard but a completely hairless leopard. Yun Chujio waved her right hand, and a bolt of heavenly purple lightning struck the barrier. Then she waved her left hand, and another bolt of heavenly purple lightning struck at the barrier. Then another and another. Everyone was stunned. Chapter 873. The True Appearance of the Little Fiend Dam. Was this Yun Chujio human? How was this a fifth-level spirit cultivator's spiritual power? It was more like a fifth-level spirit emperor realm practitioner. Moreover, why could she attack without forming a seal and without pausing between attacks? Wasn't this too outrageous for a normal human? Everyone, especially those who had once spoken ill of Yun Chujio, felt a chill run down their spines. Damn, it was fortunate that Yun Chujio did not bother punishing them, or else they would have been turned into ash by her lightning bolts. Those demonic beasts were even more shocked. They had originally thought that the Leopard King was too cowardly. After getting that embarrassing haircut from her lightning strikes, It helped that little devil run errands. Now that they saw it in action, it was a very wise choice, otherwise, its life would definitely be lost. Yun Chujio continuously threw lightning bolts for 2 hours. Everyone and the other beasts were so shocked that their tongues were sticking out. Oh God, how could this little devil have so much spiritual energy reserves? Could it be that her spiritual energy was inexhaustible? It was too terrifying. They must not offend her in the future, or else they would definitely end up 6 feet under. Yun Chujio felt that the time was almost right to halt her performance, so she stopped attacking. When she turned around, she saw that everyone was in a daze, as if they had seen a ghost. What's wrong? Did something happen? Yun Chujio asked the crowd in feigned confusion. The crowd shook their heads and smiled nervously. They were extremely obedient, afraid that they would be struck by Yun Chujio if they said the wrong thing. Yun Chujio could not help but laugh. It seemed that all doubts had been erased with a simple show of strength. If she had known that this would shut them up, she would have struck them a few times. I have already tested the strength of this barrier. I estimate that we will have to take turns to attack it for 3 days and 3 nights before we have a chance to break through it. Now, we will divide into groups and attack according to our assigned schedules. There cannot be any pause in the attack or all the previous efforts will be wasted. If anyone gets lazy or careless during this period, don't blame me for accidentally hitting them with my lightning. Yun Chujio's smile changed from one of kindness to one filled with killing intent. The beast horde could not help but tremble in their hearts. This was the true appearance of a little fiend. They should just tuck their tails between their legs and obey her every command. They absolutely could not offend this little fiend. After Yun Chujio had divided everyone into groups, they began to take turns attacking the barrier. In an instant, light flashed and all kinds of spiritual power attacks were launched towards the barrier. The hidden rune spirit cried out in alarm. If this continued, wouldn't all these people and beasts escape? It had to stop them. Everyone noticed that the sky was getting darker, and they could not help but look up. They saw a large patch of dark clouds starting to gather. Was it going to rain, or was it going to rain lightning bolts? Yun Chujio frowned. This rune spirit was quite cunning. Was it going to stop them from attacking the barrier? She had to think of a way to let it focus on her alone. These people would not be able to withstand a lightning strike. A lightning bolt from the Wu Yun here might leave them half dead. Hey, you little weakling Wu Yun, are you finally making an appearance? You coward! Do you dare to strike me? Yun Chujio took out a handkerchief to wrap up her hair, then pointed at the dark clouds in the sky and provoked the gathering Wu Yun. The Wu Yun was unable to contain its anger. Previously, it did not strike you because it was afraid of expending spirit stones. Since you were looking for death, then it would target you first. After that, it would take care of the rest. Boom! A bolt of purple lightning struck towards Yun Chujio. As soon as Yun Chujio cursed the Wu Yun that had appeared, everyone and the beasts put some distance between them and Yun Chujio. That was a bolt of lightning from an array formation's Wu Yun. They did not want to be caught in the crossfire and turned into ash. Chapter 874. Would the little fiend still survive this time? After the Wu Yun threw the bolt of lightning at the loud-mouthed girl, it was very pleased with itself. This time, it would at least strike this scourge half to death. As long as the leader died, those people and beasts would be easily mopped up. Just as it felt pleased with itself, it saw the loud-mouthed girl holding her head high and running around while shouting, "It's too scary. I have to find a place to hide. Your stupid lightning will not be able to catch up to me." "Can't catch up to you? You little scoundrel, it'll kill you." The Wu Yun followed closely, chasing and throwing bolts of lightning along the way. The crowd and the beasts had never seen such a scene before in their whole lives. Oh my God! That Wu Yun had struck her more than 100 lightning times, right? But that little fiend was still alive and kicking. This was too abnormal, right? At that moment, the Wu Yun's heart was on the verge of collapse. It had originally thought that this little weakling could be killed with just a few bolts of lightning, but it did not expect that after striking her so many times, it still did not die. The most detestable thing was that it unknowingly fell for this girl's trap. It was being lured further and further away by her, and the spiritual energy it consumed was increasing. It was unable to do anything even if it wanted to strike those other humans and beasts. It was truly detestable. Since that was the case, I will fight it out with you. I will definitely strike you to death. Rumble. 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 A Wu Yun that was even thicker than before began throwing larger bolts of lightning towards Yun Chujio. The people in the distance trembled in fear. Oh my God, this lightning cloud was much larger than the one before. Could the little fiend withstand it? Everyone prayed in their hearts. Oh God, please bless the little fiend with the ability to withstand those heavenly lightning strikes. If she were to be finished, they would also be finished. The Wu Yun would get rid of them easily compared to the little fiend. Just as everyone was on tenterhooks, they heard Yun Chujio say in a trembling voice, "Damn it. My body is numb from the lightning. This time it's bad. I can't move, I'm going to be vulnerable to repeated lightning strikes." Everyone's heart tightened. Little fiend, are you stupid? How can you say such things out loud? Aren't this letting the lightning know your weaknesses? This time, the Wu Yun will work even harder to strike you. Are you intentionally digging your own grave? The Wu Yun thought so too. You little troublemaker. Finally can't take any more of this, can you? I just need to keep working hard and I'll definitely be able to strike you to death. As for those people, they're extremely stupid. I'll take my time with them once I'm done with you. The more the Wu Yun thought about it, the more excited it became. One after another, thicker and sturdier bolts of lightning struck Yun Chujio continuously. Yun Chujio kept wailing like a ghost. One moment she said her arm was going to break, another moment she said her leg was going to break, and another moment she said her internal organs were going to be shattered. Every time the Wu Yun wanted to give up, it was reinvigorated by Yun Chujio's words. As long as it kept going for a while more, this little girl would die. Unknowingly, the Wu Yun was kept going for a full 6 hours. Gradually, the lightning bolts were no longer as dense as before. It was obvious that it had started to run out of spiritual power. The Wu Yun finally regained its senses. It was tricked again. The little devil who was shouting that she was going to die was too lively while apparently being on the verge of death. When had she ever looked like she was going to die? This wretched girl was too cunning. Curses. It was thoroughly tricked. Hey, little weakling, are you afraid of me? Why did you stop attacking? Yun Chujio placed one hand on her waist and pointed at the cloud with the other. Even though the Wu Yun knew that it had fallen into Yun Chujio's trap, it couldn't back down now. It thought to itself that since it was already in this situation, it would go all out. Several more Wu Yun gathered to form a larger cloud that was as thick as an elephant's arm. It then threw a much larger bolt of lightning at Yun Chujio. The group of beasts were so scared that they closed their eyes. Would the little fiend still survive this time? Chapter 875. Made a small fortune after a huge explosion. A huge pit that was dozens of feet deep was left on the ground. Black smoke rose from the pit, and it was silent inside. Everyone's hearts sank. Could it be that the little fiend had been killed by that last lightning bolt? The enlarged Wu Yun felt smug. The little fiend had finally been killed by it. Although it did not have much spiritual power left, it was still worth it. It had finally vented its anger. Just as the Wu Yun was feeling pleased with itself, it heard a laugh that sounded like a silver bell coming from the pit. Little weakling, I have to thank you. I managed to dig up some 100th-century purple tuber down here. This is something worth celebrating. What a huge root. It's worth at least hundreds of millions of spirit stones. The Wu Yun was so angry that it almost fainted. However, it did not have enough energy left in its heart. The last strike just now had already used up most of its remaining spiritual power, so it could only sigh and float away. Yun Chujio curled her lips in the pit. Although this Wu Yun was a little more shrewd than the one in the ancient sword tomb, it still could not compare to her intelligence. Mission complete. Feng Ming and the Yun siblings saw the Wu Yun float away and quickly ran to the edge of the pit. Junior sister little Jio, are you all right? I'm fine. I've made a small fortune. Quickly pull me up. It's forbidden to fly here, or else I would have flown up long ago. Yun Chujio's giggling voice came from the bottom of the pit. A moment later, Yun Chujio was dragged up to ground level. She had just made a small fortune and was in a very good mood. Although she was not short of money now, this kind of unexpected joy was refreshing. After she returned to the crowd, Yun Chujio took out the 100th-century purple tuber from her storage ring and showed it off. The crowd saw that the 100th-century purple tuber was already faintly showing a red color. With one look, one could tell that it was really old. Were it not for the lightning strike, it was hard to say if it would become a spirit in time. Everyone's faces were filled with envy and they all fawned over her. Fairy Yun is really a blessed person. She was repeatedly struck by lightning and yet she was able to find treasure. Such luck makes people envious. Yeah, a genius is a genius. Even her luck is better than us ordinary people. Fairy Yun is really powerful. After being struck by such a thick heavenly lightning, she was unharmed. She's too powerful. Sigh. God is unfair. It is one thing for Fairy Yun to be devastatingly beautiful and powerful, but she is so lucky. It is unfair to the rest of us. Although Yun Chujio knew that these people were just flattering her, she was still very happy in her heart. The words devastatingly beautiful especially pleased her. It was the truth. Yun Chujio deliberately did not stop them. After letting those people flatter her for an entire hour, she then said hypocritically, "Everyone, you're flattering me. I just got a little lucky. Let's continue to attack the barrier. After the Wu Yun spent so much spiritual energy on me, this barrier must have become much weaker. As long as we work together, in less than 2 hours, the barrier will definitely be broken." Everyone cheered and attacked in the specified order again. Sure enough, in less than 2 hours, a crack appeared in the enchantment. They could vaguely see the scenery outside. Everyone became excited and attacked with greater vigor. Finally, the crack grew bigger and bigger. Some people and beasts wanted to escape first. Yun Chujio said coldly from behind, "Go out according to the order. If anyone tries to cut in line, I will let them have a taste of my lightning when I get out." Those humans and beasts backed down and obediently retreated according to the order of the attack. Yun Chujio stayed behind because she was confident that even if the crack closed, she could open it again with the help of the spirit tools in her bag. Chapter 876. The sorrowful Shui Wuji. Those people and beasts did not know that Yun Chujio had a trump card. When they saw that Yun Chujio had selflessly stayed behind, they were extremely touched. Even those initially snobbish ones felt a sense of sorrow. Although this Yun Chujio was an eccentric person, she had a good heart. When it was Yun Chujio's turn to exit the barrier, a tsunami of cheers and roars greeted her. At that moment, Yun Chujio understood why some people wanted to be heroes. It turned out that the feeling of being worshipped and appreciated by others was a kind of sensation that came from the bottom of one's heart. It was different from the satisfaction of being rich. It was a kind of spiritual satisfaction. She could not help but laugh at herself. Did she sublimate herself? Yun Chujio waved her hands. "Everyone, since we have managed to escape, please go on ahead. Little Bun, do you want to find a place to wait or come with me? After I save the people from the East Valley, I will find you a suitable place for you to live." The demonic beasts hesitated for a while, and a small group of them decided to leave on their own. After all, the East Valley was not like the West Valley. Perhaps this little girl would not be able to get out from there. Moreover, there was already somewhere appealing in front of them. It would be a good place to make a new home. After most of the demonic beasts had seen Yun Chujio's power, they felt that the rune spirit of the East Valley would definitely not be able to defeat this little devil. Moreover, the situation was still uncertain, so it was better to let her help them choose a good place to settle down. These demonic beasts now had a lot of confidence in Yun Chujio. Among them, the Leopard King was the most obvious in his admiration of her. It was extremely flattering, wagging its big tail like a little kitten. "Get out of the way! Get out of the way! All of you get out of the way! Little sister, little Gio, I've been worried sick about you. I haven't been eating or drinking these few days, and I've lost weight. If you don't come out now, I'm going to starve to death. Shui Wuji squeezed in from the crowd of people and beasts. Yun Chujio looked at Shui Wuji, whose face was glowing red, and pursed her lips. Come on, you have to have some credibility when you're lying. Seeing that the jig was up, Shui Wuji laughed dryly. Little sister Jio, I accidentally mixed up my words. I was too worried about you, so I turned my grief and anger into an appetite. I ate too much and got fatter. Yun Chujio smiled. Brother Wuji, I'm sorry I made you worry. Ill rest for the night. Tomorrow morning, we'll enter the East Valley. Shui Wuji was dazed by Yun Chujio's bright smile. He felt that little sister Jio was too beautiful. When he came back to his senses, he found that Yun Chujio had already grabbed Di Baiming's arm and was skipping in the other direction. The bitterness in his heart was even stronger than drinking 100 jars of old vinegar. Why couldn't little sister Jio see his good side? Why did she have to like that cold and rigid face when he was clearly 100 times better looking than Di Baiming? Shui Wuji sat to its side dejectedly and felt that his entire being was on the verge of collapse. When many female disciples saw this scene, their little hearts pounded. This Yun Chuling was simply too handsome, especially his melancholic appearance. It was too tempting. When Shui Wuji regained his senses, he saw a few female disciples looking at him infatuatedly. When they saw Shui Wuji looking at them, they could not help but blush, looking extremely bashful. When Shui Wuji saw this, his confidence returned once again. It seemed that this young master's charm was undeniable. Little Jio must have been bewitched by Di Baiming. After a long time, she would naturally see how appealing he was. Yes, he should not be discouraged. Little Jio must be his. After all, he was the most suitable person for her. Chapter 877. A Sea of Flowers. Shui Wuji was revitalized. After giving the girls a wicked smile, he eagerly went to look for Yun Chujio. The girls were instantly mesmerized by Shui Wuji's smile. They felt as if their little hearts were about to jump out of their chests. They looked at Shui Wuji's back with infatuation, almost turning into statues that famously awaited their husband's return from sea. Yun Chujio was telling Di Baiming about what happened in the West Valley. She was beamed with joy throughout the retelling. In front of Di Baiming, she would unconsciously become an innocent and romantic little girl. Although her brain would occasionally stop working, this kind of full-hearted trust, the feeling of having someone to rely on, softened people's hearts. When Shui Wuji saw the invisible pink bubble between the two of them, half of his confidence dissipated. His heart was about to break. Why did he feel like an outsider and the two of them were like a match made in heaven? Secret Agent Hua Hua looked at her young master's stupid look and could not bear to keep looking at him. She knew that it was unbearable, but she still bravely went forward like a moth to a flame. She did not expect that the young master was also a sucker for love. It was unexpected. Shui Wuji's attention gradually shifted to Yun Chujio's story. The bitterness in his heart slowly turned into admiration. Little sister Jio was amazing. She managed to save these people and beasts all by herself. The next morning, Yun Chujio adjusted her spiritual power to the first level of the Spirit Emperor realm. Then, she walked into the enchantment of the East Valley with Di Baiming and the others. As soon as the five of them landed on the ground, they found themselves amidst a huge sea of flowers. There were all kinds of flowers in an assortment of colors. Spirit butterflies and spirit bees were shuttling between the flowers. It was a beautiful scene. If an ordinary girl saw such a scene, she would marvel at the beauty. However, the first thing Yun Chujio said was, "There are spirit bees. There must be a beehive nearby. The quality of the honey here must be very good. It must be fragrant and sweet." The corners of Di Baiming and the other three's eyes twitched. This girl never changes. Little sister Jio, if we follow these spirit bees, we will find the beehive. When the time comes, I will help you get some honey to eat. Shui Wuji immediately came over to flatter her. Well, since we don't have any clues, let's follow the spirit bees first. Yun Chujio nodded. She would never admit that she just wanted to go after some of their honey. The 5 of them soon had a bad feeling. They found that the spirit bees had been repeatedly circling in the sea of flowers. Even though they stopped tracking the spirit bees later, they found that they had ended up in the same area, and they had fallen into a maze. At that time, the sea of flowers was no longer attractive in the eyes of the group. It was just a prison with a beautiful exterior. Little Sister Gio, what should we do? Although these flowers are colorful, each area is the same as before. We have been circling around the same area without realizing it. Shui Wuji frowned. Among the 5 people, only Yun Chujio knew a little about arrays. The other 4 people knew nothing on the subject. Naturally, they all turned their eyes to Yun Chujio for guidance. Yun Chujio touched her nose. I only know 2 tried and tested methods. One is to find the right reference point to pinpoint where the barrier is. The other is to create a spiritual energy fluctuation and break the enchantment by force. Reference points? These flowers are all the same, so they can't be used as a reference. The sky is covered with thick clouds, and the sun can't be seen. These spiritual bees and butterflies keep flying along the same path, so they can't be used either. Shui Wuji said dejectedly. Di Baiming raised his eyebrows. If there's none, then we'll create one. Shui Wuji pursed his lips. That's easy for you to say. Can you create a sun or a moon? Chapter 878. Di Baiming's Methods. Di Baiming looked at him indifferently. He raised his hand and a huge ice dragon pounced towards the sea of flowers. Those delicate flowers could not withstand the ice dragon's rampage. Wherever the ice dragon passed by, the flowers instantly wilted and an empty plain about 5 miles long was created. Di Baiming raised his hand again and the ice dragon meandered forward vertically. Keep up. Di Baiming raised his eyebrows and said to everyone. The corner of Yun Chujio's eyes twitched. Well, such a rough solution was not so bad. Fortunately, the flowers were easier to deal with. If the pretty boy did not have enough spiritual power, the rest of them would still be able to help. The 5 of them adjusted the direction as they walked forward, making sure to be perpendicular to the first line. Sure enough, they encountered a barrier 2 hours later and could not move forward anymore. Shui Wuji said unwillingly, I can't believe we found the enchantment like this. We're just lucky. Brother Wuji, this Prince Charming isn't lucky. He's doing this for a reason. With that line as a reference, we won't be going in circles anymore, Yun Chujio said with twinkling eyes. Yun Chujio's words were like salt on Shui Wuji's wound. Therefore, he vented all his frustration on the enchantment. A huge spirit skull bomb smashed against the enchantment. It was only a maze, so the enchantment was not very strong. Shui Wuji only used 15 minutes to break the enchantment. Brother Wuji, your spirit skull bomb is also very powerful. Yun Chujio said excitedly. Shui Wuji automatically ignored the word also. He was so happy in his heart. Little Sister Gio praised him. He had said that his chance to shine would be here sooner or later. The spiritual herbs in here are indeed much more advanced than those in the West Valley. Yun Chujio said when she saw some of the spiritual herbs around her. Di Baiming and Shui Wuji nodded. There were so many high-quality spiritual herbs. They were rare even in the Tianyuan continent. No wonder the 4 sects sent their elders and disciples here despite the risks. Yun Chujio sighed regretfully. Sigh, if it wasn't for the urgent need to save people, I would have liked to pick some of these spirit herbs to bring back. These are all potential spirit stones. Di Baiming and the other 3 believed that that was what Yun Chujio was thinking. She had always been someone who would take the chance to make a profit. Were not for the fact that their time was limited, she would never have returned empty-handed. Little Sister Gio, when we find those people who are trapped, we will ask each of them to give you 100 spirit herbs. We can't save them for nothing, right? Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. Brother Wuji, that's a good idea. When the time comes, I'll be the good cop, and you'll be the bad cop. Well, split the herbs we extorted 50-50. 50-50? Isn't what's mine yours? I'll give them all to you. I don't want any of them. This is a good idea that you came up with, so you deserve to have a share too. Seeing the two brothers and sisters talking to each other so intimately, Di Baiming felt a little gnawing in his heart. He snorted coldly. Don't forget what you're here for. The longer you delay, the more dangerous it will be for you to be trapped here. Shui Wuji was about to retort when his heart suddenly moved. Di Baiming, this expressionless man, was jealous. I will be satisfying to anger you to death. Let little sister Jiao take a good look at your true colors. Little sister Jiao, Di Baiming is right. It's still more important for us to save the people. Don't worry, leave the matter of the medicinal herbs to me. I guarantee that'll make you a fortune. Shui Wuji said to Yun Chujiao with a smile as his phoenix-like eyes overflowed with color and emotion. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.